Good morning. It's the 22nd of November 2021 and I've come to the beautiful village of Youlgrave. Now, I've said it before, but there are so many beautiful villages in the Peak District, but Youlgrave is definitely, for me, one of my favourites, and I'll explain more about that as we go. This is the beautiful village of Youlgrave, spelt either Youlgrave or Youlgreave. It stands on a limestone shelf above the confluence of Lathkill Dale and Bradford Dale. Youlgrave has a general store and post office, a village shop and tea room, a bakery and 3 great pubs, the George, the Farmyard and the Bull's Head, built in 1675 and is a former coaching inn. Opposite is the Fountain, a conduit head in which water was piped from a local spring and held 1,500 gallons of water. The Youlgrave Cooperative Society was formed in 1870, operating from this elegant 3-storey stone building, now home to Youlgrave Youth Hostel. I've spoken many times before now about my very first holiday in the Peak District, which was way back in 1986. And during that week I was here, I spent a night in Youlgrave Youth Hostel. And what I remember about this wonderful youth hostel at the time, glad to see that it's still open today in the old co-op stall. But in those days, you used to send a stamped addressed envelope to all the youth hostels in which you wanted to stay. And they would send you back a receipt just confirming your night's stay there. I remember Youlgrave Youth Hostel, when I got the receipt back from them, it was the only youth hostel in the Peak District that sent me some leaflets with the receipt. So I thought that was really helpful. I remember the chap that was working here at the time, really nice guy, so yeah, happy memories of Youlgrave Youth Hostel. I took a walk along the main street, soon reaching the Farmyard Inn. Came to the Farmyard a couple of times before now. Oh, a few times actually. First time I think was for a Sunday carvery. I remember going upstairs to eat, and it was lovely. I came here a couple of times since on a couple of my minibus real ale trips. Yeah. Retracing my steps, I passed just above the village hall to walk down Brookleton. My path went through a gate, dropping down into the beautiful Bradford Dale. Following the riverside path downstream, I was heading for Alport. It wasn't long before I arrived in Alport, where the River Bradford flows into the River Lathkill. Named after the Portway Road, which ran through the settlement, the Saxon inhabitants of Alport added the prefix "ol", meaning old. Beside the weir is an old corn mill. Well, Alport's another lovely little place, and it was from here that, back in 1986, that I did the walk that I'm just about to do again. I took a path following the course of the River Lathkill upstream, signposted to Conksbury. Crossing a track near Lathkill Lodge, I continued ahead until the path emerged onto a lane, along which I walked to a medieval bridge. Well, now that I'm at Conksbury Bridge, I'm crossing over the River Lathkill and I'm going to follow it up on the east bank. So now, this is the highlight of the walk, although the walk has been lovely so far anyway. But this is Lathkill Dale. Having crossed Conksbury Bridge, I turned left along the footpath into the exceptionally beautiful Lathkill Dale. The character of the dale constantly changes, from lush woodland rich in wild flowers and harbouring many small birds at this end, to a Spartan rocky gorge at the other. Early this year, I did some walks through Dovedale, and at that time, I did say that Dovedale was probably one of my two favourite dales in the Peak District. The other is Lathkill Dale. The river is crystal clear and supports a wide range of plants, insects and fish, and the water birds that feed on them. Prolonged good weather can make the river disappear, although the water still flows deeply underground, seeping through a maze of natural caves and old mine workings. There's the village of Overhaddon up there. Lovely little village. Got great views into Lathkill Dale. Must be a lovely place to live. Now, that building to the right, that white building, that's the Lathkill Hotel, and that must have some of the best views in the Peak District. You can literally sit outside the pub with a pint and enjoy the views over Lathkill Dale. And again, that's yet another pub that I've done on one of my Real Ale minibus trips, and it was always a popular one with all my friends. I'm not going to Overhaddon today, but I will be up there another time. I know when I was here back in 1986, the week I was here, it rained nearly every day. It really was a washout. So my first visit to the Peak District, it just rained and rained and rained. And even when I came to Lathkill Dale, it rained. But it still didn't stop me thinking how beautiful the area was. And even on that particular occasion, Lathkill Dale became one of my favourite dales. Well, I know that was before I was living in the area, because since I have moved here, I've got to know the Peak District a lot more thoroughly. But Lathkill Dale was my favourite dale back then, or one of my favourite dales back then, and I still consider it one of my favourites today. It's nice because it's just up the road from where I live. On a day like today, I've chosen a great day because I've passed a few people here and there, but not the amount of people that you would normally see at weekends and school holidays. So, but again, you can understand why this dale gets a lot of visitors, because it is beautiful. So yeah, this is certainly one of my two favourite dales in the Peak District. Reaching Lathkill Lodge, I just took a little detour over the delightful stone clapper bridge, where the riverbed at this point was practically dry. Back over the bridge, I joined the lane leading up into Overhaddon, but immediately turned left to continue through Lathkill Dale. It was along this stretch that I would be encountering several small caves. This time I'm going to watch my head. Can't even get in there, it's so small. Fat git like me ain't going to get any further than that. Right, mind my head. Oh, it's alright, I made it. This one's a bit bigger than the last one. I'm still going to watch my flipping nut though. Made it again unscathed. Wow, that's a record. But I better not speak too soon when I come across any more caves. So this is where Lathkill Dale becomes more wooded. And that's what I like about this dale. It's very varied. Starts in open country, then it goes through woodland, and then goes back through open country again later on. I mean, a lot of the dales in the Peak District like that. Very varied. But yeah, that's what sort of appeals to me about Lathkill Dale, because of the varied landscape. And here's another one. I should try not to bump my nut on this one as well. Well, I'd be very worried if I bumped my nut on this one, because it's quite high. I'd have to be 7 foot tall to bump my nut on there. Ah, interesting. A little beyond Mandale 9, I found a series of stone pillars crossing the dale. These are the remains of an aqueduct, where water was taken from the river and used to operate a giant water wheel of the mine. Taking another quick detour, I crossed a wooden footbridge to the remains of Bateman's house, a miner's dwelling built right on top of the shaft. Wow, imagine living here. Very secluded in this part of Lathkill Dale. First thing that springs to my mind, long walk to the pub. Behind the ruins is a ladder giving access to a chamber beneath. This is where a pump was installed to lift water from the mine. Well, I can only see the walls on the other side there. Can't see down below. I reckon that shaft goes a long way. Wow. Spooky. I retraced my steps to continue up the dale. Something else which fascinates me with Lathkill Dale. You can see the water again now. In other parts, the dale is completely dry, so lovely. Well, just thinking of those caves back there, today's shout out goes to Ian Barker. Hi Ian, hope you're keeping well. Ian is fairly local. He loves walking, he knows the Peak District very well. He's done many of the walks that I've done and many, many more, I'm sure. But more specifically to Ian, he is into caving. He loves caves, and he's written a book about caves. So if you're interested in caves, the book that he's written is called Classic Caves of the Peak District. It is available on Amazon, so what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description below the video. So yeah, worth checking out if you're into caves. Here we are then. Lathkill Dale has come out into the open country again. Gorgeous. All of it is so gorgeous. This more open section of Lathkill Dale, where the limestone crags can clearly be seen high above, never fails to bring me great pleasure as I walk through. Eventually, I came to another bridge crossing the river. So I've now reached the point where I'm going to be leaving Lathkill Dale for today. I'm going to make my way over that footbridge, and I should be walking my way slowly back towards Youlgrave. But it's been lovely walking this part of Lathkill Dale today. You never forget how beautiful it is, but you just remind yourself when you do the walk again. But as I say, although I've done the majority of it, I'll do the upper bit of Lathkill Dale on another walk, so I look forward to that. Crossing Sheepwash Bridge and leaving Lathkill Dale, I bore left at a fork to follow the path for Calling Low and Youlgrave, which soon involved a steep climb up a flight of stone steps. And rest. Flipping heck. I knew these steps were coming, but again, you forget how steep it is. That's the toughest part of today's walk. There's a bit more of an incline to do, but that's the worst of it. I think before I carry on, I need a drink of water. Well, that short climb was tough, but see the views I'm getting now. Just absolutely wonderful. Look at that. I was now following another short section of the limestone way as I slowly climbed onto Calling Low, passing through a wood. Crossing Moor fields, I entered Low Moor Wood and continued in the same general direction. I was making my way towards the lane ahead, along which I turned left to almost immediately bear right at a junction to follow Moor Lane. I'm on the last leg of the walk now. Just got a bit of road bashing to do as I follow Moor Lane, and that'll take me straight back into Youlgrave. Well, I'm arriving back in Youlgrave now, so that's the end of my walk, and it's been another lovely walk going through Lathkill Dale. I do love Lathkill Dale. But going back to my 1986 holiday, I had actually spent one night in Bakewell in the youth hostel there, and the following morning when I left Bakewell I did a circuit which eventually took me to Alport, and it was the walk onwards from Alport that I've done again today. So I've retraced my steps of that walk from all those years ago, and it's been lovely. So that walk, like now, I would have ended in Youlgrave, but of course on that particular occasion I ended up staying in Youlgrave in the youth hostel there, which of course is the old co-op store. Happy memories. Only seems like yesterday.